India has an infrastructure deficit while China has excess infrastructure. That's what the Home Minister has told NDTV's Vikram Chandra in Davos.
Well, and we now have with us the Home Minister of India, Mr. Chidambaram. Now, there are lots of questions I want to ask you on the situation back home in India, but I believe you do not want to discuss anything about India here.
Well, that we can discuss when we get back, not in Davos.
Okay. What has been the basic thrust of what you've been picking up here at Davos? The overall mood, the overall sense?
Well, I'm listening and watching more than talking. The overall sense is that the global recovery has been slower than expected. There are concerns. There is uncertainty, but not hopelessness. There's some concern that 2010 global growth rate was slower than what was predicted even a few months ago. There's concern about commodity prices, energy prices, and food inflation.
And that really affects us, because if commodity prices stay high and food prices stay high, it's a major headache for the government, because that's the big issue back home right now.
So we should factor these in our policies. We should factor these in our plans. That 2011 will bring to the fore some problems, and we have to take note of those problems and address them well in advance.
How about the other question of security and terrorism, which I know you've been talking about? You did a session which had Imran Khan and others on it. Any sense at all that the world is closer to finding a solution to, Pakistan and all those issues that we've been grappling with for such a long time?
So I think people have come to accept that there will be an occasional terrorist act from time to time. They also accept that the Middle East, and I'm saying this from Pakistan to Iran, is perhaps the most troubled area. And
perhaps Pakistan in particular, I think there is that recognition that that's the biggest source of problem.
Afghanistan, Iraq, these are the most difficult areas. And because we are a neighbor of Pakistan, the shadow falls on us also. But I don't think, no one has told me that they're very concerned that there will be a rash of terrorist acts in India, or that India's capacity to deal with terror is not adequate. In fact, they recognize that India has built capacity over the last couple of years, and we are doing everything within our power to ensure that terrorists are kept at bay.
But I know that people have been talking to you and asking about the fact that now the challenges that India faces, and maybe that's a reflection of the complex world we live in, it's not quite as simple as saying cross-border terrorism. There are various types of terrorism even within our country. Left-wing Islamist, right-wing Hindu.
Yes, and I've not tried to hide them. I've acknowledged them. I said, yes, we've had terrorism spawned by Islamist fundamentalists. Now we have homegrown terrorist modules, some professing Islam, some professing Hinduism. Earlier in the 1980s, we had terrorists professing Sikhism. And I've said that as far as the government of India is concerned, terrorism is terrorism. We don't associate it with one religion or another. And we will deal with every kind of terrorism in the same firm manner.
Has anybody expressed concern to you about this rash of, scandals and corruption and questions of governance deficit? Is that something which is resonating here as well, or is it?
No one has spoken to me about that, and I was disappointed that the Indian media was spending too much time on that. These issues are
not that the Indian media is being watched here.
Yeah, thankfully. These issues are there, but I don't think this World Economic Forum is concerned about that. Corruption is there in other countries as well. money laundering is there in other countries as well. If we have a problem, we should deal with it. But no one has mentioned it to me.